transformers over in front of like Bob Reed's house.
Crank these mics up and we'll get moving.
There's probably one up by,
I'm sorry, we chatting and you want to get started?
Ow!
All right, Mr. Mayor. You've got 1 more minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Okay.
Oh, really? 45 seconds.
To tell you. It's a record operator or the lawyer or the bail fund and read it. Right.
Your lights
For the lawyer. That's the lawyer.
Okay.
And to the bail fund. That was fun.
I didn't know for the bonds, but I knew for the other one.
That you find it interesting.
Yeah.
All right, go.
All right, let's call to order. This is going to be City of Port Richey Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting for Tuesday, May 31st. At this time, I'd like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Chairman Scott Tremblay.
Here.
Member Tom Kinsella.
Here.
Member Todd McClary.
Here.
Member Linda Rodriguez.
Here.
Member Bill Colombo.
Here.
City Attorney James Matthew.
Here.
City Manager John Duke.
Here. Thank you. At this time, we're going to open with comments from the general public. I see there's several people here, but no one signed up. I do want to, by a show of hands, if anyone wants to make any opening comments, come on up.
I don't know if it's the right time in the topic, but I'm Alex Grover with behalf of Seaside. I have some questions on the codes. Yeah, it's 1501 Treadway? 5330 Treadway.
Thank you.
So we've got the parking lot issue that we're trying to get resolved with our overflow parking per capacity. And they stated that they wanted us to put some GeoWeb or GeoGrid down in the parking lot next to us. So we'd have to lease it to ourselves or however that works out. We're looking for the correct code and spec for that parking lot area so we can get that built. I've looked on the website, on the code, Unicode and stuff, and looked all over the place, and I couldn't find anything showing the exact code for if, like, you know, I've noticed that Whiskey Joe's has the lanes that have rock on them, and then the GeoWib outstanding the sides. I need a more direction on what is required on that. And then the curb stops for that parking lot. I understand that I need to put them in at the new parking lot, but we have the existing asphalt parking lot. It's in front of the existing structure. Are you requiring curb stops in front of that also, so to drive pins and things through the existing asphalt? There's no curb stops there now, but I was curious if I'm putting them in, I might as well do the whole thing at once. So I just need clarification on that. And then I'm looking for the walkway plans. I might not be wording that correctly. For the new boardwalk that's supposed to come through, starting at Catches. Am I right on that? Is it starting at Catches at that bridge, I think? Or maybe Shark Bites somewhere in there in the future, in a few years? Is that right? Or am I completely off topic on that? I just heard it through the grapevine. I heard there was a boardwalk coming in around the front. No plans for that? Okay. It's all still talk then. Okay, that's all I was curious on that. But yeah, if I could just get clarification on those codes there to help us get that built sooner than later, it'd be great.
Yeah, he'll be here at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Okay. We'll pass it along to the building official.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. By show of hands, anyone else? At this time, we're going to just open with any comments if Mr. Dude has any management.
Nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Anything from the board to start?
Nothing.
And we're going to move on to board business then, and this is a one item that we put for this evening, and that was the Cody River Landing and its design consideration and discussion. And I was going to invite Mr. Martin I believe you're going to present this and give some recommendations?
Correct.
Perfect. Welcome. Come on up.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Chris Martin with Ayers Associates. Pleasure to be with you once again. Ashley, if you wouldn't mind passing out those.
Yes,
if we could.
just accept those into record.
Can I have a motion?
Motion to accept. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much, Ashley. So what I'd like to do is give a brief overview of where we're at with the design elements for the Cody River Landing, and then offer a design option that we would hope to get consensus on today, and then leave you with a handful of other design options that are not time sensitive or critical, and that's something the council can consider now up until the bid phase time. If you skip to the very last 2 pages of the document in front of you, you'll see 2 design options. And let me first off say, all of the design elements have progressed very well. We've received the geotechnical report a couple weeks ago, and there's sandy soils, limestone with good bearing capacity, nothing unsuitable, nothing out of the normal, and all good news from the geotech report that we received. All of the design elements on Old Post Road, Treadway, and Cody have been finalized and are complete, and the design works really well. We were able to optimize the parking on Cody with 45-degree parking there. We've proposed the boardwalk along Treadway, peeling around to the north of Old Post, and accommodated a sidewalk along Old Post Road. What we'd really like to discuss here today is Bayview Street. There's 2 options presented in those last 2 sheets, and basically it comes down to parking on Bayview Street versus a wider sidewalk with additional landscaping and site amenities. So on the second to last sheet there, you'll see the more pedestrian-friendly approach. Looking at the Bayview Street from Treadway down to Cody, you see a 12-foot wide multi-use path with a rich level of landscape architecture as well as hardscape and benches, seating opportunities, and really an opportunity to make this a very walkable and pedestrian-friendly segment of the Waterfront Overlay District. On the last page, you'll see a more condensed sidewalk, a 5-foot wide sidewalk in lieu of the 12-foot, but we get additional parking. If you look on the east side of Bayview, in between Cody and Treadway, we've got 9 spaces there. And then if you look further to the south on Bayview, from River Golf to Cody, we were able to accommodate some parallel parking at that location. So that is the main point of discussion for this meeting is what is the look that we would like to realize for that Bayview Street, and optimizing enhanced parking, additional parking spaces, or an increased, more walkable multi-use path with greater opportunities for enhanced landscaping, hardscape seating areas, and amenities that would be unable to be accommodated with the parking. You're simply taking up too much of the right-of-way with parking to accommodate the wider sidewalk and enhanced landscaping and hardscape. So that is a time-sensitive, critical decision we'd like to see consensus on today. Earlier in the packet,
Is there a price difference depending on which one you go with?
it was so close to a wash, it really is, there's not a major price difference. The additional cost in concrete you would spend on, right, and, or asphalt and base material for the parking. You know, go ahead, Todd. I was just going to mention, throughout our design process here, it's my understanding that the city purchased a lot within the Waterfront Overlay District right there off of Old Post Road, just north of Cody. That is a prime location for a parking lot if the city so desired to realize that improvement. Certainly there's still a structure there that would need to be demoed, but we felt it prudent to at least bring this item up for discussion on what aesthetics and usability do we want to look for on Bayview Street? Particularly given that the city owns a parcel so close that could accommodate parking.
On Bayview Street, is there a reason you can't hybrid the two designs and have 9 spaces on the south side of Bayview combined with the walkability of the north side?
Absolutely. Absolutely could.
So instead of giving up 18 spaces, you're only giving up 9 spaces combining the two plans?
Yes, sir.
I think we should open this for discussion. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna open and then we'll go around. I think that Bayview is really one of the cruxes to the city in terms of it's the street that's closest to the water. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that's where you want to park cars. I think you've got amenities there. And we're only talking 18 spaces, so in my humble opinion, I think you would want to use that so people can walk around down there, have seating, have just some greenery down there.
Mr. Mayor, that was the opinion of the design team. I know we were focused on adding as much parking as we could, so we put together a design accommodating that request. But as we've walked the site and looked at the design elements, the landscape architecture team and all the design leads were so excited about making Bayview Street a more walkable and landscaped opportunity
You
there.
have enough room to make that really nice without the parking and.
Correct. It would be nice with the parking too. It just would not be that 12-foot wide walk. It wouldn't be as walkable.
And really, I think, in my humble opinion, you're in such a condensed area, I think walkability is probably one of the focuses. And walking safely, which we don't have now, which is one of the purposes of the project.
Absolutely. And if you look at the 2 pages prior to these, or another 11 by 17 sheets, you'll see what our landscape architecture team put together as more or less 2 Fisherman Village themes for how that segment of Bayview Street would be enhanced. They gave them 2 names, one called Pier Point and another one called Sunset Harbor, both with the Fisherman Village theme in mind. The first one would be more of a natural, rustic Fisherman Village theme. And the second option there, the one that says Sunset Harbor, would be more of a modern Fisherman Village theme. So those are some of the hardscape and look and feel of those 2 options throughout that corridor.
That was just my opinion, but I wanted to hear from the rest of the board to see kind of what their thoughts were. And I can go either way, start with the project.
If I'm clear, that you said that was a 12-foot wide?
That's what is proposed on that
Okay, and then what did it, without the parking on Bayview, what did it go down to?
5 feet.
And then with the parking, what did it go to?
Oh, it's 5 feet with the parking, it's 12 feet without the parking. So over double the size there.
And that would be favored like either the brick style with the wrought iron or
It-
the paver.
Pavers are an option. There's the sheet right before those 11 by 17s. We gave a couple photos of some sidewalk textures, some that have a stamped wood-looking feel. That's a colored stamped product, but it's all of these are concrete. Those photos that you see there. So as top left, no coloring, just a brushed concrete with a smooth bordered finish, and then there's 2 photos in the middle. Show a stamped concrete colored to give the wood look.
So you could do a lot more with the look of the space. That's the gist.
Yes. Not to mention if the city so desired to close down the street and have an event, much more opportunity to put little pop-up tents and have even food trucks would be able to be accommodated in that area. A lot more opportunities to walk and sit versus parking.
Quick question, what I have, I'm keeping with the boardwalk. That area from 12 feet down to 5 feet, is that the area where the parallel parking is at? Is that the 5-foot section?
Correct. We proposed only 12 feet between Cody and Treadway. south of Cody, it's tighter right away, so we reduce the width.
So those areas where the parallel parking is at, those spaces, that sidewalk right there is parallel, that's 5 feet.
Correct, yes, sir.
The boardwalk is projected to be 5 feet on driveway?
Yes, sir.
The way I understand it. That.
Yeah, that's 5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a quick update on the boardwalk as well. We've analyzed a couple different materials, mainly normal timber and a composite wood product, the most common one, a brand name of Trex. Trex is 50% more expensive than on composite wood and lasts theoretically 10 years longer. Wood you start replacing planks at 10, 15 years, and the theoretical lifespan of the composite Trex material is 25 years. So cost-benefit analysis, it's close.
According to the treadway diagram, it looks like a 15-foot long boardwalk right in front of one of these field dogs. I'm not sure what that's.
We haven't finalized the design of the boardwalk. I think that is part, we were considering a seating area along the boardwalk. But we laid that in before we got the geotechnical information and analyzed all the utility conflicts that may be involved with the posting. So it's conceptual at this point, to be determined. But for the majority of the boardwalk,
Expensive seating area.
indeed it is. For the majority of the boardwalk, we're looking at 5 feet.
And what's the width of the street? Is the same going through the entire?
Right away is about 50 feet for the most part in the city, and the lanes are 12-foot wide lanes. So, and the locations where we have two-way traffic, it's a 24-foot roadway segment.
The lot at the southeast corner at Cody, the intersection, was converted into parking, that would be about 30 spots, 35 spots.
I don't have the parcel data with me.
It's a third of an acre.
23. How long ago did you guys vote to buy that?
What?
How long ago did you guys vote to buy those parcels?
A year, just about a year
About a year ago.
ago.
Still didn't have any information on the fact that you guys intended to put it into parking?
There was never.
Well, we never said that we were gonna make it parking.
That's
We
just-
just-
I'm just
we
asking
could.
a question.
We did.
That makes one.
I thought it was the intention to turn those into parking.
We discussed it, but I don't think it's in concrete.
Well, I didn't mean that, there's nothing down there in concrete right now.
But for me, I just wanted to repurpose it from residential to what we can do with this.
Again, I assumed that was always the plan.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were gonna put it up in grounds, no.
No.
So.
He was having so much fun being a landlord.
So going with the first picture, we move that there's not 18 spots less.
Correct. There's 9 spots on Bayview between Cody and Treadway for the 45-degree parking on the east side there, and then another 9 parallel spots on Bayview south of Cody. And like the councilman mentioned, we can mix these two. We could have the parallel parking and then get rid of the 45-degree parking north of that and have a wider multi-use path.
There's a buffer between the boardwalk and the road.
Yes.
What is that?
I believe it's in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 feet, but
What is it, it's like a grass median or?
correct.
If there was a 12-foot wide sidewalk and an event space, there would be essentially no parking to feed that outside of what is supplied by the local restaurants. So for instance, if you had a walking craft fair or something like that, there's really no intended parking or ability to feed that area with the parking that we have on site right now, correct?
Correct. I suspect any sizable event would be challenged with parking. We were able to accommodate a decent amount of parking on Cody Ave, but there's not much opportunity within this area to accommodate any more. Old Post is such a tight right-of-way, there's no parking opportunities there. Treadway is an extremely tight corridor, there's no parking there. So the options would be the parcel the city bought, or as we're showing along Bayview Street there.
But the parcel may add about 30 spots, but you could literally have 150, 200 people at a walking craft fair easily. So even with the addition of parking, you still need parking challenge for a large scale event.
Correct.
Outside of what any restaurants provide.
Sure. There is that large lot across from Catches or close by there. Private property, but
And that could theoretically turn into a hotel or something.
correct. It's,
Most of the catches do.
What's that?
They own half of it, Nicole Keating's is on the other.
That's what
And we own a little strip down.
I recall somewhere along the line.
Yeah, and we own it right away, right down the middle of it. And the other question that I had is are we talking about as it winds around towards Seaside, there's an easement that we have that goes next to Hooters?
which look
Its treadway kind of extends out.
to the east or west of, on,
It would go actually to the north of the Hooters parking lot, down further. Yes. This little piece right here.
okay? The city owns what we're showing there, and I'm not aware of an easement in that area.
Yeah, that's what we own there.
Okay.
Right. Were there any plans, do you guys have any plans for that piece or any recommendations?
We're proposing as much turnaround area as possible there. We looked at a roundabout. It's a little too tight of a right-of-way to accommodate a nominal roundabout geometry. We'd welcome any desires the city may have for that location.
Well, down at the end, because I think Uber and Lyft and all that's just going to be a bigger thing, to have a little station where they can have a drop off for Uber, Lyft, where someone could stand so they're not in the rain waiting for rides, because I see that more and more down there, people are taking Ubers, Lyfts. And it would be nice to have a designated area to have people picked up down there in a place.
I agree, and when we were looking at the traffic routing in that area as well, I believe it's common for trucks that are heading west on Treadway that go up along that path there to end up turning into the Hooters parking lot to get back out to Bayview Street there.
Speaking of trucks, you have on between Treadway and Bayview, that little triangle that like points to Seaside. Is that going to accommodate the truck?
It is. It's a ramped area, so trucks can drive over it, more or less. Concrete apron.
So some of that's going to be boardwalk around, not just Treadway, but down.
Around the corner, going north on Old Post as well, yes.
On Bayview there, it looks like there's some.
Correct, on Bayview from Treadway, a little bit north, stops just before Grand there.
That's either gonna be boardwalk or one of the other patterns that you showed. Because you had other patterns there too.
That was the location where we've got a real aggressive side slope to the parcel there. So we need a means by which to shore up the earth or propose a boardwalk over that area. So we wrapped the boardwalk around. I believe that's the same location we discussed a gravity wall at one point as another option.
The boardwalk's more cost effective, I think, is what we talked about.
Yes, sir.
And the parking, the parking coming up. Cody Avenue, all those spots, and then you have the sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. That's gonna be a 5-foot sidewalk there?
Yes, sir.
And then with the parking, how far do they have to back out before they're near the median for the sidewalk? Is that just a 12-foot?
Yes, sir. We're proposing 12 feet there. That's one thing we've looked at that could buy us a little bit of space is reducing the lane widths to 11 feet, which is reasonable for the speed limit in this area. The typical approach as a traffic calming mechanism.
Right now, though, isn't there that's all undeveloped for, I call it just open land, isn't it?
There is a large amount of undeveloped land. Talking to the north of Cody there?
Where the wood parking is.
Oh, correct, yes. We'd be widening the road to accommodate the parking there.
So we have that property already?
Yes, sir. This design is within city-owned right-of-way.
But if we wanted to widen that, we could, that's one of the things that we could do. So you could have parking and a little bit wider sidewalk. If we engage the owners there.
Yes.
You'd only need a couple more feet to have a much nicer sidewalk going up there.
Mm-hmm. It's close.
Does anybody recall code as to parking spaces where you have to back out into a right of way? I thought that was not prohibited. Parallel parking is one thing. When you got diagonal parking where people are pulling face first, they are now, when they leave, they are backing out into a right of way. I don't know if that even fits our code.
Right, they're backing into a one-way road.
Any way you look at it, you're backing into a right of way.
Yeah, I've seen it in other areas. You're allowed to do it. I don't know if our code specifically things it, but I've seen this layout numerous times.
Yeah, I know specifically one case where there was one that had parking spots that were totally backed out into a right of way, into a street, and they were told specifically they could not do that.
In Port Richey or someplace else?
No, in Port Richey.
Your council, you can do anything.
I don't know, I've just, you gotta understand, I've not seen this before, so I'm just looking at it now.
We'll confer with our transportation team and assess any ordinances we need to be mindful of.
I could say if you are going to restrict the two parallel parking, you.
Well, I mean, we are in the grand scheme of things addressing a minimal amount of parking spaces if that's there anyway, so. I mean, that's like, the aforementioned parking coming down Bayview, for a total of 18 spots. I think you brought up that's the minimal impact the best,
I mean, overall,
needs of the area.
you're talking 18 plus, what do we have along Cody, 20 spots?
Roughly about 18.
So 38, so even if you maximize everything we own, you'd be adding maybe 60 spots.
Like 60 more than we have now.
Well, it's also 18 more than you have now. Right. And 20 more than you have now.
These are the challenges we were discussing in the office. Happy to share.
Unless you stack a parking garage somewhere, you're not gonna do that.
That was the original plan for the waterfront district. They couldn't afford it then, and I can guarantee you, we can't afford it.
I wouldn't even do a parking garage now, personally.
I don't know how much Newport Richie spent on theirs, but it was.
I know a lot of businesses that are shying away from parking garages.
We did discuss a trolley system at one point to bridge that gap between on-site parking and parking within close enough proximity to accommodate a shuttle.
Again, to where? Close by parking available.
Got some spots out here at City Hall.
Yeah. People work a deal with Walmart. Lease out the place where they park the campers.
So I guess you're looking for a decision of option 1, option 2, or option 3?
I would very much welcome a decision.
Or each of
Parking for golf carts. I mean, I'm looking at this, what I'm seeing, is believing is this is a regular size automobile, pickup truck, so forth. One of the things that really jerks my jaw is being able to, downtown Newport Richie, there I got a spot and there's a golf cart there where I could park.
Right. Absolutely would look for opportunities to have golf cart parking. In addition to, we're not showing the handicap spaces on this schematic as well. Really wanted to show exactly how many normal parking spaces we could fit within this area. As we finalize the design elements, we would absolutely look to accommodate a handful of golf cart as well as the nominal amount of handicap.
On this last page where you had that 45-degree parking, that area becomes a golf cart parking only, which possibly could increase that boardwalk there as opposed to 5 feet, something a little bit wider than that.
Certainly to accommodate golf carts, there's a lot more opportunities than you can with a normal vehicle. I highly suspect that, yes, if we were to eliminate the standard vehicle parking there on Bayview, there would be plenty of opportunities to get golf cart parking along there. That's a good point. Pardon? And still have the wider path, yes.
One question I had regarding the boats and trailers. Presumably, if Nick's Park continues to have boats and trailers, is there any concerns with turning radiuses with the parallel or the 45-degree parking?
No, there's not. We ran the program called Auto Turn to assess the radiuses for a WB40 vehicle, the typical trucks you would see servicing these restaurants, as well as like a boat trailer, and the turn radius was fine.
How many handicap spots would we need? Isn't there,
There's a Sydney ordinance. If we've got, say, 18 spaces, I believe it's 2 or 3 handicap off the top of my head.
and those handicaps, does that cut down the number of spots? There's 18, and we have 2 handicap, then do we have 17? I'm like, this cuts down the number, right?
Potentially. I believe there's a lot of opportunities where we've got a little landscaped area that can accommodate the extra width you need for the,
Because you have to accommodate the vans, et cetera.
correct. Correct. It's a different geometry of a spot. You need another 3-foot buffer.
I like the idea of the golf cart parking because you can accommodate more and more people going by golf cart anyways. And you can still have the wider area for the walk path and the multi-use path.
I concur. That was a great idea.
And then we would still have the 18 regular size spots plus whatever we do with that lot. And, you know, I think that's one of the things the businesses are going to have to step up and work on is parking too, because they own a lot of the lots down there. So, not that they have to, but, you know, if they want to accommodate more people, I don't think that's always a city responsibility. I think the businesses may have to work there a little bit too.
Yeah, but if the city's holding an event, asking the businesses to accommodate the parking for the city's event, that may be a little bit of.
No, I understand.
But kind of lost it to what kind of event that the city might run down there that wouldn't primarily focus on the businesses.
Right. They're all gonna profit if there's a.
There's a park down there, folks. We don't have a band shell, but we're not gonna get on people down. You want to build one?
And to that end, do you need a 12-foot wide sidewalk if there's putting hundreds of people down there? I'm just,
Not my big.
Parking could be accommodated at Nick's Park there. That site is not technically optimized for parking right now.
Yeah, but that's nice waterfront piece of property. That's not where I would prefer to put cars away from the water, not on the water. I mean, you really, that's the gem of why people go down there is to be on the water. So to put the cars there and then go inland doesn't make sense to me. It should be the other way around.
but if there is an event, Nick's Park provides a prime opportunity that you don't need a wide walkway to. You have to hold the event in Nick's Park if you're to hold an event. Since that focuses right on the central area.
Perhaps as a temporary solution until the ultimate parking goals are realized.
But once that's finished, we could repurpose Nick's Park however we want or leave it as it is. I mean, that's another decision I think we're gonna have to make at some point.
Because Nick's Park on the water would provide a prime opportunity to not necessarily replicate its things, make a dual purpose park, trailer parking or boat parking during normal times, but convert it to an event area.
Tied in with this for city events.
Then you can hold the event right on the water.
Correct.
My opinion is the city should have bought property back to them, get down there when they had the chance. If it's up to me, they would have bought the old casino boat property, which is right next to Nick's Park, and you'd have a real nice park down there.
Mr. Rodriguez, we can take the golf cart.
Accommodating golf carts is a really good idea. I do like the idea that Todd had too, by combining the two, maybe keeping the parallel parking down on Bayview. By keeping the wider walkway up by Nick's Park, like combining the two. I do kind of like that. I know it's only 9 spots, but it's 9 more spots than we have right now, and everybody I talk to, the problem is parking. They don't go down there because of the parking. I know, it's only 9 more spots, but 9 spots, we don't have. I kind of like the idea of combining the two. I think we do need to find out about making sure within code that we can, as Bill said, on coding that the 45-degree angle is appropriate with our code and making sure that that accommodates that. So we do need to make sure that that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
I think one other thing we have to consider, yes, there's a lot of parking there on vacant land, vacant spots, but if you do the design of this right, those vacant lands will quickly turn into buildings or whatever else with their own parking concerns. So it will no longer be a rentable parking. It'll be, the restaurant or retail store or whatever does go in there is going to have enough parking for itself because that's all by code it has to provide. And it's no longer going to be an overflow for a Whiskey Joe's or whoever else may need it. So we just have to be careful that, we don't take away too many spots thinking, oh yeah, the businesses will take it over because they're going to be worrying, if I was the developer and I was buying that parcel, I'd worry about the parking for me.
Not necessarily for any city events or anything else coming through.
So that's all I have to provide
And some of the businesses would likely come in and ask for less parking.
because parking is expensive.
I don't think there's any way looking at this size area that you're gonna resolve parking
Right.
from the city standpoint. Just, you don't have the land to do it. There's not much you can do about it. I mean, we can add some spaces there, but we're talking, no, what was it, 36 spaces?
It was 20 plus 18, 38 spaces, and then another 30 some odd spots if you were to convert.
Well, I say 30 spots, he hasn't said anything.
So I'd say 30 spots if you convert the third of an acre.
Very close.
The
So I said-
proposed hike and bike that is being talked about, where is that going on this? Or supposedly, where do they want to put it? Do you know? Does anybody know?
What was the question again? What?
Hike and bike.
The golf cart, multi-use path, but
Either way, I provide.
Yeah, they're supposed to go along patches as, get a route to that, there's no actual plan, but there's talk about it. Do we know where that?
They originally, at one point, they said Bridge Street, and then at another point, they said right next to 19.
Okay, so we don't know. Okay. I was just trying to see
One
if
of
we
two.
can fit them together.
I think the plan was next to 19, that was the main.
That was the last one, okay. So then that would fit right into there, okay.
But either way you look at it, next to 19, you're either looking at Ketch's property or, right. I mean, there's no extra land in there. And then you went back. Ketch's, which is one of the few places down there, since there were one of the first places down there that actually has sufficient parking. We can't exactly have it.
And again, it is not imperative that a decision be made today. It would be,
We're gonna make one, don't worry.
oh, okay.
we'll start seeing what everyone's preferences are. Okay, so half and half with you?
Yeah, but I would like to see more emphasis for golf cart parking. If that be that area up there on Bayview, converting that instead of the 9 angle parking, and making that the golf cart, that allows, increase that boardwalk a little.
I don't think the 9 spot's gonna make a hill of beans difference down there, so I like the design team's plan. That's just my humble opinion. And I really like the idea of using that for golf carts or something else, other than cars. Because I think Bayview is gonna be the centerpiece of what people go down there for if it's not to go into business and they just wanna walk around. I think Bayview is gonna be where they wanna be, out on the water next park, and you'll have the wider path there. So that's just my preference.
I have to be honest with y'all, have never been in favor of this plan from the get-go. I think it's a ton of money for precious little return. So I'm not gonna be a cheerleader for the project. So if you're looking for a decision specifically on what's sitting in front of us, I would have to agree specifically that the 9 spots to the north, I mean, you're giving up a lot for those 9 spots. I just don't see where it's worth putting those 9 spots up here on the top. You better use it. Whether it's wide walkway, golf cart parking or whatever, I don't see that 9 spots is really buying you anything significant compared to what you're potentially gonna. The parallel parking down below, I don't know if that makes much difference one way or the other. I don't remember how to parallel park anymore.
Actually, that'd be much nicer golf cart parking where
Yeah.
the parallel
I would
parking
have-
is.
I would
Make
have to
that the
agree with
golf
that.
cart parking. Keep the wide walkway in front of Nick's Park. That way, if we ever do convert Nick's Park into something more than just a trailer parking, then that's a prime area with a wide walkway, and then it all feeds in nicely right to the water, and there's something there. And that's more of a showpiece. And then you keep all your parking along Cody, Cody Drive Road, whatever the heck it is, that's your 28 spots or whatever it was. That's your parking area. And then,
So you're saying the parking in front of like where Nick's Park is, where he has that parking, make that golf cart parking?
no, that would be greenery. It could be some golf cart parking there. And then the 9 spots on the south side of Bayview, where there's parallel parking that no one knows how to parallel park anymore, other than when you push the button on your car and it does it for yourself. Make those golf cart parking, because you can just nose those right in. That's great for a golf cart, and then you could probably get a good, spot's 18 feet long, so you could probably get 3 golf carts per spot, so that's 27 golf carts. That's a third of our city you could shove right in that area.
I mean, you would still have room for an 8 to 10 foot path there.
And you'd still have, you'd have room for a 5-foot path, maybe a 6-foot path at the end of the day. So convert all that to golf cart parking, get rid of the spots and maybe add some more parking on the north side of Bayview in front of Nick's Park, and make that the park area, and it's all kind of Nick's Park plus more. And then throw all your parking on Cody, you'll put 20-some odd spots.
There's east and west.
And
right there.
then you'll have a nice little walkway area.
That's north. Bayview, east and
He's
west.
talking about golf
So
course.
this is Bayview.
Right.
So where's the south side of Bayview? It goes north and south.
I don't know what he's,
Bayview goes north and south, right?
Yeah, the south side of Bayview.
It goes north and south.
Yes.
But he's saying
It splits
down
right
Oh,
at
in the
Cody.
south, you're talking about this?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
south of Cody.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah, let's
The
pretend.
south end, not
The south end,
side.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, south end. Sorry about that. I was looking at Cody and I'm like, south end of
South
Cody
end of Bayview.
is where you have your 20-some
I got it, I'm following. Yep.
So then you have a ton of golf cart parking, you have some additional car parking for the mayor on the north end of Bayview. And then you throw your regular vehicular parking on Cody. If you decide to convert the third of an acre into additional parking lot, that's all your parking area, and then they can funnel out and funnel around. Until everyone else starts building a whole bunch of businesses in there, and then it's a free flow.
but if you use the north side of Bayview for golf cart parking.
North side or the north side?
North end, I'm sorry.
Right.
I mean, you'd only get a couple, I would only put a couple spots in the north end for Jim of Cody. You really want that more, I mean, to me, again, this is just my opinion. You really want that more greenery to kind of roll into Nick's Park, because if you want to do events there, you want Nick's Park to be a part of that.
Why wouldn't we just do away with parking altogether on the north end of Bayview and then put your golf cart parking on the south?
Well, the majority of your golf cart parking will be on the south end. I mean, from a design perspective, he may be able to work something in that makes sense. You know, the north end of Bayview should be more park-like, walkaways, pedestrian circulation. If some golf cart parking works into that, so be it, but that shouldn't be a priority.
I gotta take my golf cart to go to Hooters or Dill Dogs. I'm not parking way down by Petrus. I'm gonna be using a spot in a
That's why if
restaurant.
you wanna
So, I mean,
feed
that's
some
not
in-
gonna be the only,
If you want to feed some in, then feed in, or feed it in through Nick's Park. Nick's Park's got a lot of wasted space. Even from a trailer circulation perspective, it's still got wasted space. That should be another area that, you know,
Well, which part of Nick's Park is wasted space?
the Farmers Park.
Pardon me?
After 6 o'clock, Nick's Park's empty. It's wasted space.
Okay.
After sundown, all the boats pull out, there's wasted space. There's an opportunity to dress it up more.
No, you're talking about utilizing the trailer parking
Yeah,
spaces on
Correct,
that.
correct. But although I think some of the trailer parking is probably a little inefficient, but traffic guy would probably have to look at that some.
I think kind of working with the trees and what's down there is, yeah, I mean, could you squeeze in another trailer spot or two? Probably, but, you know, again, what do you find?
It's not cost effective to do that.
That's what I'm
Right,
saying,
right.
it's just, what are you buying at what cost? And keeping in mind, Nick's Park is not just a boat ramp, it's a park. So
That, you should make it more of a
it
park.
has that park aspect of it, there's a pavilion there now, you know. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not the best park, but it is a park. So.
Correct.
The one area that we haven't addressed yet was the stretch between Cody River and Treadway on Old Post.
Yes, sir.
There's a dotted brown line, is that just a sidewalk there?
Yes, we're proposing a sidewalk on the west side of Old Post Road between Cody and Treadway. And we tried to get parking in there, but the right-of-way is so tight, it was not feasible.
I mean, nobody's walking that street.
But that would just be a 5-foot sidewalk then.
It would be, and if the vision is for the recently purchased parcel to become parking, it would be highly recommended to provide an accessible route away from the parking lot.
People could walk if they parked there either way to go to their destination.
Correct.
So right now it would make sense, but as soon as you put parking down there, it would.
I suspect it would be more highly used with the parking lot there.
That's so we are aware, or
Just from a discussion point, we have a budget of this, if you were to convert,
third of an acre into 30 some odd spots. What do you typically pay, about $9,000 a spot?
How much?
surface parking, $9,000 a space for surface parking.
I'd have to convert it from square feet, but that sounds pretty close.
So then you have an additional $300,000 thereabouts of investment to make in the park.
That is not current in any of the budgets. Outside of what we expended for purchasing the property.
We would welcome the building official's recommendation on GeoWeb for a more cost-effective solution.
Okay. Hope you don't use it a lot. GeoWeb is great for
GeoWeb has been a pretty nebulous term around this city for a long time.
GeoWeb is great for overflow, not for primary. But I defer to you.
I'd say a GeoWeb product mixed with some 57 stone or some reasonable base material would be prudent.
I mean, the whole point to GeoWeb is pervious, so you don't have to put in drainage.
Mhm.
So you get more bang for your buck square footage wise. Is it the preferred method of paving? No, it's not really. I mean, I haven't seen any case where it went in and after a number of years it didn't look quite.
Didn't get ripped out and paved over?
Get ripped up and paved over, yeah. You'd have to go in. Where's the
So, what are we
geo
doing?
dig down 4 inches this down?
Under the budget.
Yeah, under the mud, right next to the pond.
So he wants a decision, he loves to hear us pontificate. I think I voiced what my vote is.
Do you think?
I think
Some,
probably the best way to go would be to split the parking and have it more for pedestrian, multi-use paths on the north end. And on the south end, whether it's golf cart parking or some parallel spots, I think that's kind of been the consensus.
I agree.
But the question is if it's golf cart parking versus parallel, the sidewalk's still gonna be the same in terms of space. You just get more golf carts than you would a car.
Yes, sir.
might get away with a 6 foot on the south end. If it's a golf cart, if it's a pull-in golf cart, you may get a little wider sidewalk, I would think.
Potentially, right? And looking on the north side there, I was thinking we proposed a 12-foot wide. If we're trying to squeeze in some golf cart parking there, maybe reducing to a 10-foot wide may buy us the room we need.
Wide sidewalk would still give you plenty of opportunity for tents or walking fairs or something of that.
Correct.
So, is that clear enough for you? Let's first of all, by consensus, are you okay with that concept or idea?
Really don't.
Yes.
Okay. So does that give you enough direction?
So maintain the parallel parking on the south portion of Bayview Street, south of Cody. Remove the parking on Bayview, on the north section of Bayview between Cody and Treadway, and work towards accommodating golf cart parking on that north segment.
The north segment or the south?
No, I think the north segment, we can eliminate parking and just have a nice area.
Okay,
Because you'll have a lot more to work with. And then we only have 9 spots on the south side anyways of that. And I think we were saying, look, we can fit a lot more golf carts down there.
okay,
And just have your golf cart lot there on that strip.
great.
And I think by
I like
consensus, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Okay. And you're okay with that?
Yes.
Well, no, I mean, you're okay.
I could reluctantly accept. I'm.
He could completely hate our decision, he'll still say yes.
I just wanted to make sure that he understood.
I understand, and it's a sincere concurrence.
But I propose a golf cart parking garage.
There you go. Say, yes, sir, it'll be a great idea.
It would be much smaller,
Yeah.
much more compact.
What's the next decision?
All the other decisions are not time critical and can be done at any time. The beginning of this package includes the light fixtures that Duke Energy will accommodate. So let me go here. There's about 20 pages of different type of light fixtures, and ultimately the city will be leasing the fixtures from Duke. And so I can have my team shortlist and see which of these fixtures meet that Fisherman Village theme and make a recommendation, or welcome any of these that the city may so desire.
Make a recommendation, have 19, narrow all decisions down to 2
Or 3, and then we select from there.
I agree with that. One of the things I was gonna ask, is there any way, that we can look at some projects that have utilized some of these and just see what it looked like with overall, like the slideshow?
Absolutely.
So if we go with this is what it looked like for.
In fact, I think even the Duke website, you click on it and it shows a rendering of what it looks like. So, but we can also find some in real. And there's poll options from Duke as well. It was about 20 pages deep. Only 4 options for the style of poll. Okay. So light fixtures, light poles, sidewalk texture, and then if we could, I guess, lastly, touch on our landscape architect's 2 themes for a rustic fisherman village natural versus the more modern look. And you can see some of the hardscape and amenities that fit those 2 styles.
Well, if you've ever been like to the Riverwalk at Savannah, Georgia, they have the rustic looking brick sidewalks and the wrought iron. And it's a very nice look, but it's very old, it's very rustic looking.
Correct.
So it would depend on the rest of the combination too, because if you stick the wrought iron stuff, it would make sense to have that more rustic look. If you want to do like Clearwater, where they have the more modern looking pavers and, so I think the overall picture would have to be kind of one or the other in terms of the lighting, the pavers and everything else.
Correct. Everything.
So you put the packages together, so we can say this is what the whole package looks like with these versus over here.
Correct. We could do that, yes.
from a decision, do we want old or do we want modern?
That is the general two themes that the design teams put together for consideration.
Or a combination.
We could do a combination.
I don't know, there's any such thing as a modern fishing village. I mean, the basic waterfront over the district already specifies all architecture will be in a fishing village style of architecture.
And when they had the meeting, with all the businesses, I was there for that, and all the businesses voted to keep the fisherman village.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So that
not
was the
like,
business owner's
obviously,
decision as well.
there's other cities with areas, but they have pre-existing 200-year-old brick structures that are gorgeous and can be renovated. We don't have that down there, so whatever is happening down there outside of the handful of businesses that are down there, happening from scratch.
Well, if you look at the Pier Point one, he's got, path, wood, shells, stone, gathering, socializing, rope and driftwood, and then on the Sunset Harbor, they describe it as color, sculpture, pavement, music, metal, wood, concrete, pavement art. So you kind of
We tried to define the two styles and themes.
of what Scott asked for in a one-page instead of a presentation. So you kind of tried to do that. I see in essence. Is that correct?
That is what we tried to do, and we could go a step further and get the exact product listing and cut sheets of each amenity we're proposing here.
And also keeping in mind, I mean, looking at like on this Sunset Harbor, page 2 right here, I don't know where that's a picture of, but obviously it's a picture of someplace. But, keeping in mind, we're in floodplain there, so, there's a lot of funky old waterside towns that have buildings that people can't build, they gotta be above the floodplain, so I don't even know what the heck that's gonna look like. You're not gonna have a street level, bunch of little shops where you can walk in and out of. I mean, you just can't build this.
Now you got parking garages on level one.
Yeah, bottom level is all gonna be parking garages, so maybe you ought to go back to your design team, put all the boardwalk up in the air, because that's where the walking's gonna be. No, seriously, go to John's Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the boardwalk along the river, that's elevated, it's elevated for a reason, because all the buildings are elevated, that's where you wanna walk.
Mm-hmm.
I like the rustic look,
I like the Pier Point.
and I think that's what the businesses were kind of talking about in the original workshop.
Well, that's kind of where they've been going along the way.
It's always been a vision for that area.
So that kind of still fits with how the businesses have been already decorated.
Rustic.
I guess you got your answer.
Excellent.
Pier Point.
My preference.
Yeah.
What else?
That's all the information I need to get going. Wish I had more to table for discussion. I think that gets us exactly the direction we need. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And, any other questions at this point? Mr. Martin, as always, links to the presentation and information.
Likewise, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that takes us to old business. I did want to bring up one thing in old business. I think that one of the boards that we have is actually really maybe very good in terms of trying to get some opinions, from the citizens and the businesses. And I think the CHC board, as we get some of these designs, may want to put it before them and have them kick it around to see what everyone likes. Put it online and have people comment on it. And that may give us some direction as we start selecting everything. And I didn't know how you guys felt about that. I think that's one of the primary purposes of that board. And I think that if we were going to ask them to be involved, that may be one of the involvement is starting to help us select the recommendations for these selections.
I believe the CSE should be actively involved in this. They have a lot of fingers out there in the community. We'll get more return from the CSE.
CAC was the one who named it Cody River Landing.
Right.
And the reason I went to that meeting for the with the businesses was to be a support to the businesses as the chairperson for the CAC at that time. So I definitely agree with Tom that having the CAC active in that is very important.
And any other commentary?
I agree.
Okay. So what I was gonna ask, and I don't know if it's too much to ask, is as like these packets come out for mayors, maybe have it run through the CFC if they have a meeting within, proper time frame.
I would love to see the packet like posted online so people could go on and see it and comment and, you know.
Yeah, there's a meeting Thursday night, correct, Tom?
Correct.
Tom's Thursday night CAC. So I definitely, because I guess I'm going now, right?
So by Thursday, could we have like a dozen of these for the CAC meeting that they can pass out?
And the digital copy, so it could be posted on either our Facebook page or our website or something like that, so people can log on and see and look and say, hey, this is what's going on.
Absolutely. Would you want all the Duke?
If you can just get us the digital copies,
Okay.
just send them to Ashley and I, and we'll put this together.
Okay. Do you believe that the Duke lighting fixtures would be of interest, or should we keep?
Only if you narrow it down to 2.
Fair enough.
There's some in here that are not appropriate, they're totally modern, so I would definitely, for sure, take those out of here.
Okay. Absolutely.
4 to 6.
Yeah.
Will do.
Todd's a little bit aggressive.
No, really, trust me, I've been through this a million times.
2 to 3, tops.
Or else people will be fighting all night long over a Duke fixture, trust me.
Can we make a little section on our website regarding Hood River Landing, like, so that we can update it as we go along?
Yeah.
Would that be possible?
That's a good idea.
I would just be happy if material like this showed up in the agenda.
That was one of the other
I
conversations.
really have to tell you, I really hate walking into a meeting cold with no material. An agenda that simply has the name of the topic. Now, I don't know if there was something that prevented you in getting us into our hands last week, but I sure would hope in the future. I would like to see any presentation that's gonna show up on our, basically anything that's gonna show up on our desk. In my personal opinion, I know this is not a CRA issue, but it is, we'll talk about it in the CRA context. If it's in the CRA agenda, it should be in the agenda online, viewable by everybody, and for us to digest before walking cold.
And also showing up on these things for anyone who walks in here.
Yeah, but if you really wanna do that right, you're gonna have to rotate all those screens to.
No, you can see it, there's 2 screens.
Put the little side,
They can move.
Yeah, but it's smaller.
That's okay.
Oh my God.
People will work with it. Put it up on the screens, we'll figure it out.
John, did you not have them put up rotating brackets for them? But I have no idea.
But I agree, I know that we publish a meeting and give people notice, but not to put this up or for us to have it is, in my opinion, a problem as well. I agree with Mr. Colombo on that issue.
Should I say something? In light of our past audit, the CRA website.
Right.
Okay. Number 2 is if you want to make it formal regarding the CAC, that'll be a council vote. That's an ad hoc council decision. But
Say that again?
that's a council decision, the CAC.
Okay.
Okay, but you've all agreed to it. You can start working it and sending it out and just saying going forward, they're not touching. But more important, we're doing a project that they really look for this kind of stuff.
When I said website, I meant.
No, I'm trying to remind Johnny.
Put it on
we gotta do
both?
right away.
Well,
Can we put it both places?
I
Because some
prefer
people,
we just be in the CAC, just see the CRA since that's where the money's coming.
can we put something on the?
You could say
on-
go to the CRA
Yeah,
site,
that's what I
sure,
said. Can you direct them for
Put a
input
link
for
and
part
send
of
them
the,
all. Put a
yeah,
link,
or
send
put a
it
link
all.
on or something
Yeah,
so that,
make sure
because
it's on the
people are not
CRA.
gonna,
the only point from my standpoint is before I got on council, where would I go to look for an agenda? I'd go to look for it in the calendar. Now, I don't care where that.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't care where the file is hosted, but that's where people, when they look at a meeting and they go in and click an agenda, that's where it's coming up. Now, I absolutely agree with Jim. Anything to do with the CRA should be on the CRA portion of our website, including the agendas for those meetings. And I believe they are, aren't they? Yes. Yeah. As well as minutes. There's agendas, minutes, blah, blah, blah.
And any other old business?
no.
Motion to adjourn.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice.